So, anything you want to talk about in particular, Walker Bueller?
I told you guys $35 million pitcher, $35 million hitter.
He
Yeah, quick
he did
quick
call it
addition
to a
off the
T.
dome. Wow.
Tried to tell you.
What would
Man.
you do? You've $700 million contract. What's the first thing you buy?
I got a lit. I've had a list for a long time, but I don't think I'll ever make 700 million. So maybe a little short list compared to his, but I don't know.
Okay.
I
So
don't know
I,
what the
I know
first thing. It'd be a lot, and what the first day would be fun.
I know Peter, look, you floated this question, right? What would you have to do in 2024 to be a $700 million player?
Ooh. I mean, I think it'd have to come with some sort. I'd have to like invent something. The iPhone. I don't. I don't know. I don't. I think at this current point in my life, that's impossible.
What if, and it's not impossible, 400 strikeouts, you beat Nolan Ryan's record of 383, you
Uh-huh.
throw about 25 no-hitters, and then the rest are just kind of complete games. You throw
Uh-huh.
around 350 innings, 400 Ks.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you're getting close there.
Sounds like a nice career.
Yeah.
It's a good career. And I think that's only like that might be fewer than 10 Ks per nine. So you got to up that number too. Now, time for the exact introduction. Walker Buehler talking about his new teammate, Shohei Ohtani, who just signed a 10-year, $700 million contract over the offseason. We walked through it in the intro. It is the largest contract ever signed by a professional athlete. There have been higher concentrations of money, like Cristiano Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia and Benzema in Saudi Arabia, and then Messi in Barcelona, and then Canelo Alvarez too. I know you're a boxing UFC guy, but
Uh-huh.
$70 million deferrals, all that aside, it's a Blanton's day, dude. Like I don't know if you're drinking, but if this isn't a Blanton's day, there's no day that's a Blanton's day. No.
Yeah, it's up there. I think we made a grave mistake in choosing Sundays for this thing because Sunday is supposed to be my, you know, calmest day of the week. So I'm taking it easy tonight, but we should have done these on like Fridays. But then we wouldn't have this news. So
Mhm.
double-edged sword.
I have to ask too, because you've been around when the Dodgers have added big time players, and that has to just inject something in the locker room. It's beyond just what Shohei is going to bring to the field. Like when all the Dodgers first hear the news, what are the group chats like? Like, what is the communication like? Are you guys just all on a big time FaceTime, just screaming at each other? What was it like for the Dodgers? I know you're not in the clubhouse because we're
Right.
obviously in the off season, but these group chats, they've got to be just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our group chat, I think, focused on what kind of car Joe Kelly was going to ask for, um, which I respect. I texted Joe and asked him if he was going to rock 99. I know he has some ideas, but he seemed to like 99 as well. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But yeah, we're talking Lamborghini or Ferrari or,
He's going to get a 2017 Volkswagen Jetta, and Joe
probably.
Kelly's going to wear number 59, and he's going to like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Dude,
think we have a 59. Is Evan Phillips 59 or am I completely off on that?
I'll tell you right now. But where were you when you found out? Like, obviously, the group chat was going crazy, but your immediate reaction. I was sitting on my couch in my apartment, and I got a text. I didn't even see it on Twitter. I got a text that just said 700 question mark. And
Yep.
I let that sit for 2 minutes. I was like, I don't know what that means. And then I went on Twitter and I was like, oh my God, that happened. He did that. That's a real number. And like, there are that many dollars in this country. Um, what was your immediate reaction to that, knowing that he's your teammate now and that number coming in for a professional athlete?
Yeah, well, I mean, I threw a couple tweets out. That was pretty soon after I had found out um, about his dog's name, and I'm gonna find out for everyone. I'm still leaning towards Walker, but we'll see. Um, no, it's just, I mean, there's never really been anything kind of like it, right? Nobody's, he's the biggest free agent in sports ever. So when he lands with your team, it's just kind of confusing and not confusing, but like, well, we got 700 million to spend on a guy, but at some point, like, there's never been anyone like him. And I said it last time I was on, like, he does both at a really, really high level. And his background and kind of the hype around him in the World Baseball Classic and, geographically us closest to Japan, like a lot of it makes a lot of sense. And, I think it's pretty cool, the reports that are coming out of obviously the deferrals is something that people don't really think about too much. And there's all these things about, oh, he's going to make, $700 a second or whatever the thing is. But for him to kind of take a step back, defer some money, get the luxury tax stuff to kind of ease the burden and of, the burden of making $70 million on a payroll to really try and win. I think, yeah, obviously, I bet the second offer wasn't 699 million, right? But it also kind of shows what he wants out of playing with our team.
And the reason he made $700 million is because he can hit and pitch. And as a pitcher
Right.
yourself, obviously Shohei is not going to be able to pitch this year because of TJ, yourself coming off TJ. When you first meet him, have you thought about what kind of that first conversation with you guys is going to look like?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think I'll probably see him at the stadium at some point before we all head out to Phoenix. But I've met him a few times, just kind of in passing. And first off, I don't think people realize how big he is. Like, I think that was the first thing when I met. I was like, oh my god, like. But no, I mean, I having gone through it and kind of believing I'm on the other side of the second one, I think hopefully I can help in some way or whatnot, especially my first surgery lasted 7-8 years or whatever it was, and his obviously didn't last quite as long. So hopefully we can, our medical staff first off, but myself as well, kind of help him through that a little bit and get him back to what he's obviously shown he can do.
Real quick, Evan Phillips is number 59. Nailed it. Kelly's going to be 53. I think 53 is okay for him. Is that
okay? That's what you're going for?
Yeah, you're going for 99, which has a little bit more personality. I'm thinking, hey, just like drift into obscurity a little bit. You went from Otani's number to 53. What's going on there?
It's a subtle move.
Yeah, right. I will say I'm very happy for you that you get to be Shohei Ohtani's teammate, but more layered here. I'm very happy for you to have brainstorming sessions with this guy, because if there's anything that I've learned, what Peter's learned, what any listener has learned, it's that you think about this shit all the time and you are constantly trying to push how much you know, the information that you possess. And the thing that I think players have always respected maybe most about Shohei Ohtani is that guy's ability to recover. Nobody recovers like that cat. He throws 110 pitches and then he hits a nuke the next day. And I can't wait because you've been on, I guess, the forefront of, you've got a cold tub in your house, right? Like you're always thinking about that. So when you think about just having brainstorming sessions with maybe the best recoverer that we've seen in sports, what jumps to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think of it more so as the cultural difference, right? And how they developed and how, in Japan, the system for developing players is so different and kind of, we talked about the reps and all the stuff that they do over there and, all of their ability to manipulate the baseball and things like that. We had Yu Darvish when I first got called up and, we had a few conversations, but just talking with him about how he thinks about throwing the ball and how he makes the ball spin and certain things like that. I think the more angles you can cover of figuring out how to make a ball do certain things, the better you'll be at it. And so, for me, that's probably the biggest thing. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I hope kind of my experience going through the surgery twice can help him. And obviously, we all can learn something from him. Literally everyone on our team can, because he does everything. So it'll be fun. I mean, I don't know if there's ever really been, assuming or hoping that Kirsch comes back, you're talking at least 4 current, like probably first ballot Hall of Famers on one team.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Which is pretty wild. I'm kind of curious. I guess the Yankees are the ones that I would think about that would have had more.
But first ballot, like, Maris isn't a Hall of Famer because it was Mantle, it was, Whitey
I'm
Ford.
talking like
Yeah, Murderers
my
Row.
childhood Yankees.
Oh, your
Yeah,
childhood
like
Yankees?
Jeter and Mariano. Those are the only like
Yeah,
first ballot Hall of Famers.
I mean,
yeah,
A-Rod put together a first ballot
True.
career,
And then
but
you could say Clemens, I guess, but
yeah,
no. But yeah, they had that level of talent.
yeah.
huh.
Interesting.
I'm also curious. I just do want to know in spring training when maybe it's even next year, what you think that maybe you can bounce off him from the pitching side, watching him on the pitching side, and then something that maybe you can talk to him that you've developed on the Dodgers side. Because what do we know about the Los Angeles Dodgers? They are the ultimate pitching lab. So is there
Yeah.
something that you see when he's pitching that you're like, hey, I could probably give him a pointer, and then something that he does where you're like, I got to pick his brain about that?
No, you know what? I think people probably think we see the Angels play a lot more than we do. And, I think they're probably the team that I get to watch the least because we're usually playing at the same time. So, I've seen a lot of highlights, obviously, and kind of Sports Center version, but I I still don't think I've ever seen him throw in person. So it'll be interesting to see like when he's building up, where he's at. I think some of the stuff with recovery that I ended up dealing with at the end of the year was just some mental issues on how you're throwing through rehab and kind of not throwing, throwing for it not to hurt and stuff like that. And then you ramp up and you're just kind of not ready for it. So, I think for me that'll be like the biggest thing that I'll talk to him about. But um yeah, I mean physically he's just kind of differently gifted, but I know in his first rehab it was kind of well known how much stronger he got and how much bigger he got. So that's always kind of stuff that I want to see how other guys do it. And not to keep bringing up the cultural differences and stuff, but like they do work out differently and train their bodies differently and things like that. And his ability to play however many games a year he plays and pitch however many, like there is something to how he's training and the light, not the life, the routine of like an everyday position player versus a starting pitcher is so different in terms of what we do in the weight room, the level of exertion, the how heavy we lift compared to the position guys get really strong in the off season. They just kind of try and maintain it as long as they can, and we're kind of bebopping every 5 days. So I'm just intrigued really more than anything.
I like bebop as a verb.
Yeah.
What does
That's a
it
good one. It's a
what does
pretty good.
bebop mean? What does it mean? Like, what's the definition of
You don't
bebop?
know what bebop means?
Not really.
It's kind of like bounce around. You bebop around.
I had no idea. I know how it's spelled because I think it was the title of like a Netflix show, Bebop. But yeah, no
Yeah, I
idea.
mean, like if you're running errands, you know what I mean. You're bebopping around town.
You're
Got you. All
bebopping.
right.
I have another question about how Shohei handled his free agency decision. I really want to ask a player in particular, especially someone who is due to be a free agent next year, because we heard, from big time media reporters that they were underwhelmed because they wished that this free agency decision, that it was almost like LeBron's, where there's a TV station, there's all this different stuff. I think from our perspective, we were saying whatever Shohei wants, Shohei
Mhm.
should do. Like, we shouldn't be on the forefront saying he should do something that's better for the media, right?
Right.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I know a lot of fans were left thinking, hey, we just want more. We
Yeah.
respect his decision. We just want more out of Shohei because he did sign a $700 million deal. The dude can buy 700 million McChickens. So,
Right.
what was your kind of perspective of the way he operated, ending with the low res image of the Dodgers logo that got like 1 trillion likes on his own
Right.
Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, you have to like respect his privacy and seemingly like, I've heard really, really good things about him as like a teammate and a person, but at least with the media, he's been very, leans towards shy or more, private. And so I think you're making a decision like that and something that obviously has the implications you're talking about, but also the next 10 years of his life and where he's going to live and all of that. Like when you layer that on top of when he won the MVP, sitting on a couch at his house with his dog, like I just think it seems very much him. And I think, I get it. And I understand why people would want him in particular to be really like loud about it, or kind of, advertise where he's going to visit and stuff like that, because he is kind of a, one of the few like global baseball players, right? In that it wasn't just LA that's excited. Like it was LA, it's Japan, it's across the country, everyone's following it. There's Canada was involved, right? Like everyone was involved in this thing. And so I can get it from that perspective. But at the end of the day, if it was going to make him uncomfortable with not only our team, but this process, and everyone, we've heard a lot of guys talk about, we all play to get to free agency and then we get there and it's awful, right? And so I'm sure no part of getting 700 million was really awful for him, right? But at some point, I think you just kind of have to handle it, in your own way.
And I think about it. Oh, I was just gonna say, I think about it like this too. Yeah, was it great for the media? Maybe not, but pretty good for him. We talked about how the second place person wasn't at 699 million. So if we're talking about how did Shohei do it for himself,
right?
$700 million.
I think it worked out all right.
Well, and I think it's also probably exhausting. And I'm sure that, you can attest to this. And hell, I think anybody listening to this show can attest to it, because when you're a senior in high school, every conversation is, hey, do you know where you're going to school yet? Do you know what you're doing after graduation? That guy, you never heard a public statement from him from the last Angels game until now. And he's all anybody wanted to talk about. And it was global news when he posted on Instagram, which is just fascinating.
I love that.
You've got 6 top 100 players by Fangraphs in your lineup. And I'm just going to run through the lineup and you tell me if it's the best since the Big Red Machine, because I think it might be. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, James Outman, Chris Taylor, Jason Hayward, Gavin Lux. Is that the best lineup since the Big Red Machine?
I don't know. I mean, certainly on paper, it's got to be up there, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty damn good.
So I posted on Twitter, and with all due respect to Gavin Lux and Jason Hayward and these guys, because they're all good baseball players, but I did post the top 5 in your guys' lineup from Mookie down to Max Muncy, and then I said 6 to 9, who gives a shit? And basically what I meant by that is it is such an incredible first 5, but what would your response be to Braves fans who are in my DMs and my comments basically saying you don't know ball, the Braves are way better?
Listen, I don't think I really have the track record to say much about Atlanta. They've done some really unkind things to me at Truist Park, so they have a fantastic lineup. I do think kind of what we're talking about in terms of the Hall of Fame caliber. Now they've got some guys that probably are going to get in the Hall of Fame themselves, and obviously an MVP, so a couple of them over there. But yeah, I mean, we're excited about our team, I guess, is where I'll kind of leave that one.
I'm just so excited for that rivalry. It's going to be awesome.
This kickstarts, I think, the remainder of free agency, and we were waiting for the big dominoes to fall. And we talked about this last week when you hopped on, and we talked about it through the lens of Kevin Kiermaier, who said he was waiting for Shohei to set the market, and then everything's going to figure it out after that. And we kind of went through how the big domino falls, and then every other domino can fall after that. So Sonny's off the board. Do you think it makes sense that we expect a lot of action in the next week or two? Like pre-Christmas, you're going there with some more clarity on who your favorite team has.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the expectation, right? You get to winter meetings, get through them, then it kind of gets going to winter meetings. And this year, obviously, being a little bit different just with Shohei going through this. But yeah, I mean, I think things have to start falling into place. You hear a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter or whatever, or on X or whatever it's called now. GM's talking about now we got to pivot, or we're looking at a bunch of different stuff and whatnot. So, I think a lot of puzzle pieces will be put together in the next couple of weeks, I would think.
There was a move that came in that I did want to ask you about, Tyler O'Neill going to the Boston Red Sox, because you faced him a couple of times. What did you think about that move? Right? You got a high-powered outfielder who's been kind of up and down, either looks like an MVP candidate or, he's struggling. What did you think about that move?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the Green Monster and right-handed power hitters kind of, go together, and, big pull in the air guy. So, a lot of that makes sense. And, the Verdugo move was kind of surprising, but, those two together, I guess, somehow make sense. And, yeah, he's just been a guy that's had a hard time being healthy a lot, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't talked since Soto, by the way. How'd you
Oh
feel
yeah.
about the Soto thing? I saw it. My favorite, I think, thing from all that was Preller and the rest of the Padres front office was at a scouts dinner. So it was holding up like the finalization of that trade for
Yeah.
5, 6 hours, I want to say. But it was okay, it's happening now. Is it not happening? But like, yes, it's happening. We just got to get through the paperwork. It was a relatively quiet winter meetings,
Yeah.
but it resulted in one of the best hitters that we've got moving to the Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah. I also saw some stuff that he's like had an affinity for New York for a long time. And,
Yeah.
I think part of it is just that he was traded, 2 years ago now. So like, it's not the first time that he's been moved. I think quiets it down a little bit. Obviously, it's a huge move, and um, New York's going for it this year. I know Cole has like a looming opt out as well. So, um, I don't think New York ever has like a ticking clock on them. They are the Yankees, but when you land a guy like Garrett Cole and then you haven't made the run that you wanted to make or whatnot, you start kind of trying to stack the deck a little bit, and I think that Juan Soto is definitely one of those top 5, 10 players in baseball. So yeah, big move for them. But no, I agree. It seemingly a little quieter than you would think it would have been, but I think that's his personality too. The way that Shohei's kind of private, Juan's not unflashy as a player, right? Like he's got some flash to what he does, but I don't think he's been like really out like brazen in the media, So I think it kind of fit as well.
What should Yankee fans expect when they get Juan Soto? Because we know how good he is, and as a guy who's
No.
faced him, right? Juan Soto's only 2 for 10 off you, so you've had his number a little bit. So what's kind of the scouting report going into a game against Juan Soto? Like, how have you been consistent against him? Because, he's routinely compared to guys like Ted Williams, but the Yankees have seen a lot of good players. So I'm very curious about what type of hitter you think the Yankees are getting.
Yeah, I mean he's what you look for in modern baseball, right? It's power with extreme discipline, and he's just a guy that's most really disciplined guys you feel like are not on go, right? Like they're kind of think it's a ball until they swing kind of thing, but he's not like that. He just ends up walking a lot and he's super disciplined. But if you miss in the wrong place, like he's gonna go and he's gonna hit it hard. And it just makes it tough. We have Max Muncy, who's a similar profile. Obviously, the average has a little bit of difference, but I've faced Max in lives and stuff, and it's the same feeling of like if this ball isn't perfect, like he's gonna get his A swing off, and if it's not a strike, he's not gonna swing, and it's just a different thing. Like when you face free swinging guys, you kind of know, okay, I can't make a mistake in the middle, but I can kind of get away with some things. And these guys that are, super, super high discipline, super walk rate with real power, are probably, most guys would tell you, typically the hardest guys to face, because there's another layer of he won't chase this. So I have to make such a good pitch in the zone if I want to get a swing and miss or get him off the barrel or whatever. I think he's flied out to the warning track like 4 times off of me too.
But
but that's 4 outs.
And you also punched him out 3 times for a guy who doesn't really strike out. So how do you strike out Juan Soto?
I don't know. It's been so long, man.
Last thing for me, what's the update on you? What's going on in your life right now? I see a lot of farm pictures. Are you ATVing? Like what's on the docket every day?
Yeah,
for
we
Mr. Walker
zoom
Buehler?
around out there. We're doing a little duck hunting here and there. We're not in town much longer. We go to LA near the end of December, so get through Christmas and head out to LA for a month or so, and then get ready for spring. But yeah, just trying to get some time time out at the farm, do this little podcast with you clowns and then get out of here.
Hey, you're not contractually obligated to show up every week, right?
Calling it little is so disrespectful.
But clowns, I thought, was the disrespectful one. Hey, do you think Beryl Buehler and Walker Ohtani are going to get along in the outfield grass at Dodger Stadium, or do you think Beryl is a contentious dog?
No, Beryl will like a little Walker. I don't know what kind of dog that is, but he'll go along with him.
Yeah, I love that we're just naming him Walker now. Yeah. So you're going to tell him to change the name if it's not Walker, right?
Oh, Lord.
All right. You were the man. Appreciate you, Peter. Anything else you got for him?
Nothing. I'm just excited to see where the rest of the free agents go, because with the deferrals, maybe the Dodgers are loading up on more.
Yeah, I don't think we're done.
Oh, ho, ho. All right, Walker, you're awesome, man. Talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys.